So a lot of the information talked about today can feel a little bit heavy emotionally, and to some degree it is. We tell families that for us to be effective helping the child, we have to work with the child, we have to work with the family, we actually need to work with the community in some level, and that to be effective, it's an investment of money. You got to pay for the sessions. It's an investment of time, and it's an investment of emotional energy. It is. So what we're talking about today requires not, just taking your kid to an appointment and paying for the session. It requires self exploration, understanding. How well do you do emotional coping? What's the relationship like with you and your child? Who's inside your child? Slowing down and taking a look there. It requires a lot, and we I say you have to have support in this process. You're asking your child to continue on in their development, therefore you must continue on in your development as well. Therapists, we have to continue on in our own development. Those parts of ourselves that we're split off from, disconnected from, avoidant of, unresolved about, we're going to be that way with our client. And if we can't honor it in ourselves, we're not going to be able to honor it in our client. If parents are split off and disconnected from what they're experiencing emotionally and their need for support, they're not going to be able to have empathy for their child's emotional state and their need for support. So having some support is important. Hopefully you can get that from your significant other, fellowship with the church, support groups, or your own therapy. So again, as I said at the very beginning of this phase 2 class, to think about this as a journey, as a paradigm shift to discover more about yourself and your child at a deeper level. Take advantage of support. It's good for us. We all need support, and therapy, Al-Anon meetings, all can be very helpful with that. So some things to take away from this entire course. Hopefully, I want you to see this as empowering. One misinterpretation of this information is, kind of guilting yourself or saying, oh, I messed up in this way with my child. They're not done developing. We still have room to work with them, to grow with them, and growth is an ongoing process. There are ways in which I still need to work on personal growth. You still need to work on personal growth. Your child still needs to. But what's important is that we do it, that we take the responsibility to make that commitment to ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, and to do that work to move forward. And again, that's where we need support. But that's an empowering place to be. As I mentioned earlier, too often parents are given the message that they're powerless over their child's addiction or mental health issue, when in fact what all of this information is today is a way to look at things that you can take responsibility for and have power over today and going forward. So anyway, it's empowering them is the way that I look at it. So once again, be mindful that our kids are struggling and need our support, and maybe we need to have support so that we can support them. Figure out how much do you need to slow down, and slow down a little bit more in your relationship with your child so that they can have the experience that you get them. When unpleasant emotions are arising inside of you, think about pausing and reflecting, understanding what you're feeling, and then acting versus reacting or stuffing and suppressing. Stuffing and suppressing is not coping with emotions, it's avoiding and hiding, which in fact then teaches children to hide from them as well. And we don't want that. We want them to have access to what they're experiencing, and we want them to actually experience it and talk about it. That's what helps sets them free and moves them forward in their development. Maybe creating that paradigm shift. Our culture has got us so solution focused, task oriented, and goal oriented, achievement oriented, that we're not looking at relationships. We're too busy. So think about that paradigm shift of really looking at the relationship. And sometimes it's hard looking at relationships. It's kind of an ambient place to be. It's like ambience is the air in the room. You don't think about it unless somebody mentions it. It's like being aware of your elbow. You don't think about it, you don't feel it unless somebody mentions it. And relationships are that way too. That it's kind of hard to take a look at sometimes, but it's a powerful place to be. So you have the power to address unresolved issues, your own addictions, family of origin issues, and be accountable and continue on in development. I know it's hard, but it's an important place to be. And one of the recommended readings that I have for parents, there's actually two. One is Codependent No More by Melody Beattie, but then the other one is Parenting from the Inside Out by Dan Siegel, which you will hear a lot of the information that in his book that you heard from me today. But it's a really informative book for parents that helps them to take a look at all of these issues in a very empowering way. So I highly recommend that book. Um, Even though it's written for parents of kind of newborns, there are many therapists and programs using this book with parents of teens and young adults as well. Thank you.